FFTF 2024. Since I've started this channel, I've had countless videos talking about the topic. Most of them speculative discussion about what the phrase could mean, if there's any relevance to the year 2024, and just how it could mark the end of an era. Well, in this video, I'm going to take you on a journey and point out every stop along the FFTF 2024 cycle and eventually how it leads to today. Now, if you enjoy content just like this and haven't done so, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. And if you're looking for a new fun pop song, I just released a new song which you can check out right here. And now, without further ado, let's get started. This story goes back several years, back to November of 2019, when a Redditor made this post. A page is missing in the digital booklet that Coldplay published today. In the physical, between sunrise and sunset, you can read the patent of a car FFTF 2024 and a sign entitled Music of the Spheres, and with a lot of zoom in the lower left corner you can also read Coldplay coming soon. And for context, this was an everyday life booklet that Coldplay released with the album. So this was the very first time that we heard any news about FFTF as well as Music of the Spheres in general, and as you can imagine, this really excited the Coldplay fan base and it spurred a lot of discussion that led even to today. Now obviously with time we learned that Music of the Spheres was the title of their next album, but the ideas around what FFTF 2024 stood for were plenty. Two of the more popular ideas included Fast Forward to the Future and Fast Forward to Friday, both kind of alluding to this idea that 2024 wasn't a year, but was actually a date, and more specifically, a release date. So this meant either February 4th of 2020 or April 2nd of 2020. But neither of those two dates were actually on a Friday, so it wasn't super convincing. However, April 2nd of 2020 was on a Thursday, so some speculated that with world release day for music being on a Friday at midnight, Thursday technically going into Friday at midnight might make some sense, but still at this point it seemed too much like a stretch. The only other idea that really stood some merit came from Coldplay Extra's tweet that said Fight for the Future, and FFTF standing for Fight for the Future made some sense because Coldplay has been known for their role in trying to make the world a better place, and even what they do with their tours, trying to make it as green as possible. This was starting to make some sense, but 2024 still was in question. What did that mean? Did that mean the year, or what was it? Fast forward to October 2021, where we heard breaking news that Coldplay announced they'd only be releasing 12 albums in total. In a quote from Chris himself, he said, "I think that in a few albums' time, we will finish making albums. I think after 12 albums, that will be the end of our catalog, but we will always want to play live together. I think of it in a way that the Stones do things. It will be so cool if we can be touring in our late 70s. That will be wonderful if anyone wants to come. We'll make 3 more albums, so 2 more, and then we'll finish our final album called Coldplay, and that's the plan. 3 more albums to go." So with this news, speculation about what FFTF 2024 stood for circled back. And a lot of people were speculating that FFTF stood for Finale for the Fans. So the final 3 albums would look something like this: Mott's Volume 2 in 2022, Mott's Volume 3 in 2023, and in 2024, we'd have Coldplay, the self-titled album, which would be the finale for the fans. This theory seemed to fit perfectly. The only potential criticism of this theory lied in the idea that Coldplay would be releasing 3 albums in 3 years, which is a lot. And that's why around the same time, we saw another belief that FFTF just was the title of the next album, which would be released in 2024. So then we go forward into 2022, where we see news about the same timeline, just pushed back a year. So instead of 3 albums by 2024, it's 3 albums by 2025, which arguably is still a lot of content within the span of 3 years. But also this idea kind of put a stopper to the idea that the self-titled album Coldplay, the final finale for the fans, would come out in 2024 because this timeline goes to 2025 now. And as the year progressed, some people were asking, okay, is 3 albums by 2025 still feasible? To which our surprise, Coldplay actually replied. They said, "The next album we have is on schedule. The one after that is around a musical film. We'll make that, but we won't release the album until the film is done, and those take a while." So what this did was tell us really 2 important things. 1, it sounds like things are taking a little bit longer than expected, and 2, they're working on a musical film. And this idea of there being a musical film really sparked a lot of attention and discussion in the Coldplay community, mostly because there was just all this mystery around it. It was the first time that we heard any news about this film, and it seemed like it was a pretty big deal. And then we go forward a little bit as we approach the year in question. On November 30th of 2023, someone asked, "Hey Coldplay, to celebrate us being 1 month away from 2024, may we please have a hint for what FFTF 2024 means?" To which Phil replied with an hourglass emoji. And from this, we couldn't really conclude anything other than the fact that Phil is thinking about it and he replied to this person. But then about a month later, on January 5th, someone tweeted out, "Hey Phil, how has your 2024 treated you so far? Is it still the year of FFTF or has it been postponed?" To which he simply replied, "FFTF 2024 PH." So at this point, we still didn't have an answer to if 2024 was referring to the year, but with Phil taking the time to respond to these tweets, it seemed likely that we were on track. But another thing I wanted to mention was that at this time, we already knew that the title of the album would be Moon Music, so it kind of just put the nail in the coffin for those who thought that FFTF stood for the title of the next album that would be released in 2024. Alright, so now we're starting to get really close. On June 17th, we got an official album announcement for Moon Music, and with this album announcement came something a little bit more than we were expecting. Finally, after years of waiting, we got an official meaning for the phrase FFTF. On the track list for the album, there are only 10 songs. But if you go to the Moon Music album on Apple Music right now, there is an added 11th track that says, "A Film for the Future - Trailer." FFTF, A Film for the Future. And in this trailer, it features these real-life videos of everyday life, almost like windows into different cultures and wildlife. And then on July 16th, Coldplay tweeted out this. Says, "Feels like I'm falling in love. A film for the future version. Hashtag feels like I'm falling in love video. Hashtag AFFTF. Coming soon." And in this post, it included a short teaser of the video, including an animated short from the song. And as you can imagine, this news just gave us so much excitement, knowing that the thing that we'd been waiting for 5 years now was coming in about a week's time. But just one odd thing to note was that in the promotion for this video, the art style was vastly different than what we saw in the trailer on Apple Music. But now this takes us to today, the day of the video release. And leading up to the official release of this video, we still have so many questions. Like, how did FFTF turn into a music video for Feels Like I'm Falling in Love? Was this the plan from the beginning? Since it's been in the works for almost 5 years now and it's such a big deal, was this going to be like a long video, like a 40-minute long music video? And almost most importantly, like, why does the art style look so different between what we see in this promotion and then what we see on Apple Music? So the time came, the music video was released, and it was really cool. The video featured several artists, each with a very distinct art style, and I just think it was a great representation of the song itself. I think some thought it was a little too abstract, but for the most part, it was received very well. But I felt like after watching this video, it only left me with more questions. Like, as I was watching it, I was waiting to see the art style that we saw in Apple Music, and it just never happened. And not to mention, after like 5 years of anticipation for this, it seemed a little odd that all we got was this 4-minute long video. So then I thought about it. I went back on all this information, and it kind of just hit me. In all the promotion for this music video, Coldplay never referred to this as, "This is a film for the future." They said, "Here is Feels Like I'm Falling in Love, a film for the future version." They said, "Feels Like I'm Falling in Love, brought to you by a film for the future." This music video isn't a film for the future. It's part of a collection that will be a film for the future. And the more I looked back, the more that idea made sense. To me, it almost seemed like at some point, maybe Coldplay did want to release a film for the future in 2024. But like Chris said, the next album we have is on schedule. The one after that is around a musical film. We'll make that, but we won't release the album until the film is done. And those take a while. They knew back in 2022 that they wouldn't be able to finish this project on time. So instead, they released a small segment, Feels Like I'm Falling in Love music video, brought to you by A Film for the Future. They wanted to have a way to honor what was printed on the booklet almost 5 years ago, and I believe they did that. FFTF 2024 came true in a sense that it started in 2024, and this film for the future will happen in the future, just not now. And just to further this idea, it just really explains why we saw such a difference in art style between the Apple Music trailer and what we saw in this video itself. I think maybe Coldplay realized that this project is a lot bigger than they imagined, and it really seems like it's a big deal to them. So instead of pushing this out as soon as possible to meet this quota of releasing it in 2024, they wanted to spend some time on it, but at least start it this year in 2024. So I guess just to end this video, I feel very optimistic. If I'm correct on this, I'm glad that FFTF is not finished and that we have more to look forward to. But also, just keep in mind that I could be totally wrong on this, so don't get your hopes up in case what we got today is all we're going to get. Now, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts on everything I said in this video. Do you think I'm right? Do you think there is more to A Film for the Future? Or do you think this is all we're going to get? Regardless, let me know below. But thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so yet, definitely subscribe to the channel. I do a ton of news updates on everything Coldplay. And again, if you're looking for a fun song to listen to, here's my new song right here. But thank you so very much for watching to the very end here. I appreciate you and can't wait to see you again in the next video. Until then, peace.